Hey guys, Lena here, aka the Chief Ovary Officer. So, in today's video, what I want to do with you is share this ad with you by this brand called Haizoo. And then I want to break down what I think the ad is doing really great. And then we're going to take a look at ad to landing page congruency, what I think is great about the landing page. And I also wrote down some notes on how I think the landing page could be improved. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this ad together.
Your jowls aren't from aging. There's a muscle in your jowls aren't from aging. There's a muscle in your neck called the platysma, and forward head posture has been tightening it for years, literally dragging your face down. See this face? Everyone says it's aging, or weight gain, or just what happens as you get older. But a huge part of what you think is aging is actually something else entirely. Your head has been sitting forward, probably for years, and it's been physically pulling your face down. You're not aging as fast as you think. Your face is just under tension that it shouldn't be. I'm Dr.
Okay. First things first, what I love is it opens with saying straight away that aging is nothing to do with their skin aging essentially, but it's because of the forward head posture. It's because their head is tilted forward. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're aging, but more to do with the positioning of their head and the fact that it's tilted forward. So it opens up a loop because we're so used to hearing that our face is sagging because of aging and that it's because, it's normal to do as you age that your face sags and all these other things. So I really like that they open up with that loop of saying that your face is not sagging or anything of that sort because of age.
Lena, a doctor of physical therapy specializing in cervical posture and facial structure. 12 years of practice. And I'm going to show you something my clients pay $150 a session for. Yes.
Okay, real quick as well. Really love the positioning of the authority here. So you can tell that she's basically positioning herself as the authority, saying what she does, what she helps women with is the exact same thing that she just spoke about. And now she's kind of giving you an insight as to what is it that makes your age or your skin age or sag. And it's related to the forward head posture. And I also love the subtle note to saying this is what women charge. This is what I charge women $150 for. But if you listen to this video, you're going to have to pay less. So I think it's a great way to allude to the product that they're about to introduce.
Faces age, that's real. But what I see in 80% of my clients isn't aging. It's forward head posture making them look 10 years older than they actually are. And until you fix the posture, nothing you put on your skin is going to change what you see in the mirror. This is one of my clients, 3 weeks apart. She didn't get injections or change her skincare, didn't lose a pound. We just released the
really great way to basically say that they're not changing anything at all. So it's a great way to subtly answer the questions that you may have, which is, am I going to have to change my lifestyle for this? Am I going to have to change my routine for this? Is this something that's going to take a long time for me to do? So a great way of subtly actually answering all the questions, which is she didn't suddenly lose weight. She didn't suddenly change her diet or anything of that sort.
tension in her neck, 10 minutes a night. Look at her face. Look at how much younger.
The fact that she mentioned 10 minutes a night just shows you how easy the product is to use. And then she's showing the after as well, which I like.
She looks. And this client, different age, same result. When the head goes back to where it should be, the face.
Different age, same result is super important here, especially when you're selling to women. They're basically showing that, hey, this doesn't just work for women like you specifically, but it works for women of different ages as well, because the main core issue here is the forward head tilting.
Face follows. So here's what forward head posture actually does to your face. When you spend all day looking at a phone or sitting at a desk, your head drifts forward. Most people don't even notice it's happening. But over months and years, your head ends up sitting 2, 3, sometimes 4 inches ahead of your shoulders, and it stays there. When your head sits forward like that, the muscles in your neck tighten to hold it up. Specifically, a muscle called the SCM on both sides of your neck. It shortens and locks up, and once it's locked, it stays that way until something releases it. There's a thin muscle on the front of your neck called the platysma. It runs from your chest all the way up to your jawline. When you're
Side note, I really like how they showcase it with animations as well, and like 3D animations and stuff like that, so it really engages you.
Posture is right, this muscle is relaxed. It's not doing much. But when your head sits forward and the neck muscles lock up, the platysma gets stuck in a shortened position. And because it connects your chest to your jaw, when it's tight, it's constantly pulling your lower face down. Your jawline softens, your lower face gets heavy. You develop jowls, your smile lines get deeper, neck bands appear. You look in the mirror and you think you're aging. But a huge part of what you're seeing isn't age. It's your posture pulling your face into a position that looks older than you are. Fix the posture and the pull stops. And this is why nothing you've tried has made the difference you.
So this is where they're going into discrediting everything that you've tried, or not discrediting or explaining why nothing you've tried ever works.
Expected. Retinol and serums treat your skin. But if your posture is pulling your face into a position that looks older, your skincare can't undo that tension. Botox freezes muscles in your face, but the tension pulling everything down is in your neck, different location entirely. Gua sha feels good, and it helps temporarily, but it can't release the deep neck muscles holding your head forward. The tension just comes right back. None of these are bad products.
So I want to pause here real quick and note something here. A lot of what I talk about when it comes to selling to women is specificity. And this is what it comes down to, right? Which is the fundamentals of knowing who you're talking to. So clearly, the women that they're talking to have tried all these things: retinol, gua sha, something that's becoming really popular right now that a lot of people are using, as well as something else that she mentioned. So if you know who you're talking to, you know that what they've already tried, you know how to mention it in your ad, basically. So I love that she mentioned all that. And I also like that she mentioned something like, let me replay it again.
Muscles holding your head forward. The tension just comes right back. None of these are bad products.
I love how she says none of these are bad products. It's just that they don't address the root cause of what is happening. So she's not saying, hey, retinol, gua sha, and all these things don't work. They work in tandem. It's just that it's not going to work if if your head is constantly forward tilting.
They just can't fix what forward head posture is doing to your face. For years, the only way to release those locked neck muscles was to come see someone like me. I'd work the SCM with my hands until it let go. The tension releases, the head moves back, the pull on the face stops. This is Haizoo. It does the same thing at home. 4 prongs that physically grip the neck muscles and knead them apart.
So see how she was building everything up to introduce the product and it all makes sense. So a lot of what I see is that especially when men who are trying to sell to women, they try to fit everything into a single creative without breathing space or without the sequence or cadence that makes sense. So she talks about she did a myth bust, which is saying that, hey, your face is actually sagging or you look older, much older than you actually are, not because of anything else, but because of forward head tilting. And it's something that you can actually fix. The reason why everything that you've tried actually doesn't help the issue is because you're not addressing the root cause of it. And a lot of times, how you have to fix this is by seeing someone like me. You have to make an appointment. You have to pay $150 a session. But hey, here's a product that does exactly what I do at a fraction of the cost, and it can work in tandem with your current routine. So you're not telling them to discredit everything that they've done, or that you're not telling them to stop everything that they're doing. You're introducing the product in a way that makes sense, that fits into their current routine, and in a way that is easy to use. 10 minutes a day.
Not vibration. Vibration doesn't reach deep tissue. This is compression and release. The same technique I use with my hands. You turn it on and the prongs start working into both sides of your neck. Then you hit the heat, 42 degrees. That's the temperature we use in clinical work to soften locked muscle tissue. The muscle loosens and the prongs go deeper. 10 minutes, lying down, before bed. I'll be honest, when I first tested this, I was skeptical. I've spent 12 years using my hands.
Again, I love how they're addressing what people are thinking as well, what their target audience is thinking, is that they might be skeptical. So now she is actually addressing all of that as well.
Didn't think a device could get deep enough, but the first time I put it on my own neck, I noticed the SCM actually softened. Not dramatically, but enough that as a therapist, I could feel the difference.
Okay, real quick, I love how she says not dramatically, because this is in a subtle way actually addressing what people may have in mind, because they're setting expectations as well. So what they're doing when they say not dramatically is that they're setting expectations for people who's going to think, okay, if I use this one time, I'm going to see a huge difference. So in a way, they're actually addressing the fact that, it's not going to be a life-changing thing right instantly after you use it, but it's going to be something that you can see the change the first time you use it. And then when you continuously use it, that's when you'll see more and more changes and a huge difference.
And I thought, okay, if it's doing this in one session, what happens over 2 weeks? Here's what I tell my clients. 10 minutes before bed, every night. By the end of week 1, you'll feel the difference before you see it. The neck tension starts releasing. Your head sits differently. By week 2 to 3, you see it. Your face looks less heavy. Your jawline gets sharper. The lines soften. You just look more like yourself. Not dramatic.
Again, a great way to mention timeline, which is something I constantly say as well when you're selling to women. Timelines are very important to set expectations and to address everything that they might have questions to. So you're telling them week by week, here's what you can expect, here's what you're going to feel.
Dramatically different, but enough that people notice. And it keeps
Again,
getting better. The longer you keep releasing that tension, the more the face recovers. It's not instant, it's progressive, but it's real.
38 and people. A great way to actually manage expectations is by saying like, hey, this is going to work, but only if X, Y, and Z. Because if you go right off the gate and say it's going to work, you're going to feel amazing, you're going to feel different, you're going to feel this extremely different magical thing, people are going to be skeptical. So this is a great way to tell your audience that, hey, you're going to feel a difference, but in a way that actually is believable, especially if you're selling to a market that has high skepticism.
Always used to guess like mid-40s. 3 weeks in, someone at work asked if I'd had something done. I was like, no, I literally just used this thing before bed.
I honestly thought the jowls were just my genetics. Like my mom.
So first, social proof, really great way to show people the timeline. Second, social proof
Has
right
them,
now.
so I figured that's just what happens. Turns out
Great way to showcase and object and do objection handling into people who may think that, hey, this genetics is not going to work on me.
it wasn't genetics. The jowls are actually going away.
I haven't changed my skincare or anything. My face just looks younger and I can't really explain.
So again, showing people how you don't have to change anything in your routine. She mentioned she didn't change her skincare routine or anything. She just introduced this product to her existing routine.
My husband actually noticed before I did, which is saying something.
Try it for 30 days, 10 minutes a night. If you don't see a visible difference, send it back. Your face isn't aging as fast as you think. Forward head posture has been pulling it down. Release the tension and you'll see the face that's been hiding underneath your posture this whole time.
What a great ad in terms of marketing to women. It doesn't make them feel like shit. It's just saying, hey, it's not promising you that you're gonna look 10 years younger. It's just saying that, hey, you don't even look your age because of forward hit tilting. So it's just revealing what you have underneath, with the beauty that you have underneath. So great way on marketing to women without making them feel like shit. And also great way to answer all the questions that these women might have with the timeline, with the social proof, with explaining every single thing. So great way when it comes to marketing to women. So now let's take a look at the landing page as well. Okay. The headline goes, Harvard study reveals forward hip posture is pulling your face down and 90% of adults have it. So a really great way to continue the conversation because the ad talks about exactly this. So when people are clicking on this ad to go to the landing page, this is exactly what they're expecting to see. Now, a lot of times I see an ad like that get hit with a listicle and say something like 7 reasons why women are X, Y, and Z, which doesn't really correlate to the ad and the ad promise itself. So this is a great way to do ad to landing page congruency. So we're going to go through it now. Just above the fold, I love how the CTA is relevant to the copy there. A lot of times I see a CTA that is not relevant to the copy or has no context to it, and it's a random copy there. Again, free shipping, something that a lot of times I tell my clients to do when they're selling to women, is just making sure that you give them their reassurance and the peace of mind that if anything happens, they'll get their money back. And then free shipping as well works on them because they don't want to be hit with having to pay shipping at the end of when they're adding things to cart and about to pay. Okay. Not a fan of this. I wouldn't put the problem. I'll just go straight into this. Also, another great example to show that externalizing the blame, which is just showing them like, hey, something's happening to your face and you can't figure out what it is, but it's not your fault because you don't know that actually the cause or the reason why your face is sagging is because of forward hip tilting. So a really great way to showcase that. I wouldn't use this word as well. It's too scientific for me. I'll make it more conversational. And it blames the enemy, which is the phone or any digital devices, as to why your hip is tilting. Love this diagram as well to really showcase and hone in on how the forward hip posture is happening and what exactly it looks like. Another thing as well when it comes to marketing to women is having authority and just having some facts in there as well. So this is a great way to sprinkle that in. Again, a great way to use CTA here that's relevant to the content over here. And then goes into the mechanism. Again, I would move this because it's so literal, right? So I would just remove this and talk about this. And here it talks about the mechanism again. It goes into that. Personally, I think we've already done the education on the ad, so I wouldn't elaborate too much into the mechanism. Again, I love the CTA here, the evidence, which is great to have to answer any questions that people might have as to whether or not this actually has anything science backed. Talks about how it actually works, great as well, and then it introduces the product. So to me, the ad does a great way of encapsulating all this. So I wouldn't go too much into repeating it again before I introduce the product. And then talks about there, before and after, really great. Love the social proof here as well. All the social proof that is relevant. So if you listen to anything that I've shared or what I talk about when it comes to marketing to women, is that having relevant social proof is very important. So this does a great job at that. And then does a timeline again. I talk about this all the time when it comes to selling to women, and they mention it in the ad creative as well. So great way to showcase that and to answer any questions that people might have. And then go start your 30-day transformation. And then it answers the question that people have, which is how fast am I going to see results? So they answer that right here below the CTA, which is great. And then they're talking about how all the stuff that you've used before is not working, and here's why. Great way to showcase, like, in terms of monetary value as well, how you're spending a lot of money on all these things but it's not working, and all you need to do to actually get to the root cause of it is spend only this much. And again, with the 30-day guarantee right here after it introduces the price. Great way to do that. And then it goes straight into here. So I've mentioned the stuff that I like on the landing page. Now I want to highlight it a little bit more on what I think could be improved. So I've got my notes here. Okay, so I've got my notes here. Let's go through what I like about the ad and the landing page and what I feel could be improved. So opening hook, I came across, like I said, this ad and landing page from Haizoo, and I think it's a really good example of how to carry a message from the ad into the landing page, because the ad does something really smart. It doesn't sell the product right away, like what I see a lot of creatives do. They just introduce the product too soon before they even build any emotional resonance with the woman that's watching the ad. So this ad is a great way to not sell the product immediately, to get them to emotionally buy in before you tap into the logical side. And then it creates a new problem in the buyer's mind first, right? It opens a loop telling them, hey, your face is not sagging, or you don't look your age, not because of age simply, but because of something else that's actually happening. So it's creating a new problem, it's opening a new loop. But my critique is that while the overall funnel is strong, the landing page may be over explaining in a few areas, like what I said earlier on. So let's get into it. So, first, I want to talk about my main points. I think the ad does a really good job at taking someone from problem unaware to problem aware to mechanism aware to then solution aware. And the landing page continues the same exact argument as well. So whenever I talk about page add to landing page congruency, continuing the belief and all of that, what we just discussed is a great example to show you how to do the same for your ad and your landing page. That's why the funnel feels cohesive and the buyer isn't clicking on one promise only to be promised another, or only to be bait and switched, right? So the page actually expands on the same belief shift that got the click in the first place. Now, what the ad does well is that it opens with a very strong pattern interrupt, right? It goes straight into saying, hey, the reason why you feel a lot old, or you look a lot older than you actually are, it's not because of what you think it is. It basically says your jaws aren't fat and they're not just age, and then immediately challenges what the buyer already believes. All these things can only be done if you go back to the fundamentals of knowing your product inside and out, knowing who you're talking to, knowing what their beliefs are, what they've already tried, and all the things that have led them to finding this product, or to finding this solution or this ad or whatever of that sort, right? It's the exact moment in time. If you know your audience really, really well, or who you're talking to really well, you know the exact journey in which the person that you're selling to goes through before they discover you, or what they're feeling when they're fed up and they want to find a solution to it, right? So that immediately challenges what the buyer already believes. And most women seeing that probably think that their face is changing because of age, because of weight gain, because of skin laxity, and the skincare not working. So they're saying, hey, it's not because of all this. They reframed the problem and say, you know what? The reason why your jowls are fat or you feel like your skin is sagging or any of this is not because of all this. It's because of something else, something more structural, something that is not being addressed at the root cause of it. And then it introduces the idea that the face is changing or your face is changing because of posture, because of neck tension, something that is such a common thing these days with how much time we're spending on our phones, on our laptops, and all these things, right? So, because of that, it creates a really strong curiosity. And then it makes people think, okay, so what is it that's making my face look different if it's not all the other things that I know about? So then we'll go into the buyer journey, right? So the funnel moves the buyer through this journey of, like I said, first she is unaware. So she's thinking, my face is just aging, my jowls are fat, my skincare isn't working. And then she becomes problem aware, right? So maybe this is just coming from my neck and posture. And then she becomes mechanism aware, which is forward hip posture might be the reason why I look older than I actually am because it's pulling my face down. And then she becomes solution aware, saying, okay, maybe I need to actually release the tension in my neck that's going to treat my face. And then that's actually going to help since that's the root cause of it. Then she becomes product aware. She's now aware that this product or this tool is designed to release the tension. And hey, I don't have to pay $150 a session like what the authority figure in the ad said. And I don't have to go there. I don't have to get into my car, book an appointment, wait in line, wait for my appointment, and all these things. I can just do it in the comfort of my own home for 10 minutes a day. That's all. So then we'll go into why the landing page works. So the landing page carries the exact same idea from the ad. It's not breaking that. The ad creates a belief gap and the page expands on it. It doesn't divert from it. So the main messaging basically says your face isn't aging, it's being pulled down. That's a really strong ad to page congruency, like what we discussed. The page doesn't suddenly switch into some generic product copy. It just continues educating the buyer on the same mechanism, right? And that makes the product feel like the next logical step, like what we discussed earlier. So let's talk about what the page does well. The enemy is very clear here. It's not age, it's not fat, it's not genetics, it's not skincare, it's forward hip posture and the neck tension. The enemy is very clear here, right? It's being painted, people are aware of it. So that is the enemy. The mechanism feels novel. Something very important as well is it's a normal human behavior to get excited about something new, especially when this target audience that they're selling to have tried so many things and have been burnt over and over again, or not just burnt, but they're just not seeing results fast enough, or they just want something new to make them feel better about what's not working. So if you give the buyer a new explanation, it removes the insecurity from something that is familiar. So it removes the insecurity as to, hey, this is not working. Of course, this is not working. It's not working because, I know, because all this while, my posture, my neck and hip posture is forward. So that's why it's not worked because of all these things. So it creates some sort of new hope and creates curiosity and excitement because it's something new. Something that I want to highlight here as well is that the visuals support the argument, which is so important because your visuals should always complement your copy. If people want to browse or people want to scroll, they know exactly what's happening. They have context on that. So the posture diagrams, the muscle diagrams, the facial illustrations make the mechanism easier and a lot faster to understand. The product positioning is clear. It's not just some general massager you can find on Temu. It's framed as a tool that targets the exact area where the problem starts in the first place. Whew. So, where I think the page becomes redundant. So, okay, my critique is that the middle of the page feels slightly overbuilt, which is what I had mentioned a lot earlier. So now let's go to the middle of the page over here. right? Which is this part. So earlier on, I did mention that this part could be shortened down because the ad does so much education on this bit already. So it's just redundant at this point. So my critique still stands is that the middle of the page is slightly overfilled and too redundant, and it keeps repeating the same argument just in different ways. And so it talks about phone posture aging your face. It talks about forward hip posture pulling your face down, the SEM tension affecting the facial appearance, platysma tension pulling the lower face, drainage getting compressed, science proving the mechanism, releasing the neck to reverse the pull. All these things that we've already heard in the ad and that we're already aware of, just being elaborated even more. So it feels like it's just being regurgitated at this point. So none of these sections are bad on their own. The issue is that they're all doing the same job and repeating the same things over and over again. They're all trying to make the buyer believe that the neck posture mechanism is the reason why their face looks the way it does. But after a certain point, the buyer probably already understands the problem. Now you're just wasting time. Instead of getting to the product itself, you're just kind of going on and on again. It's kind of like droning out, right? So the page may be keeping her in education mode for too long, which is not something you want to do. So then we're going to go into the sequencing problem, what I test, and 8 key CRO takeaways. So the sequencing problem is that I don't think this page has a messaging problem, which is what I said earlier on already. It has a sequencing problem. So the argument is strong, but the product shows up quite far down the page when you've already built the viewers up to this, right? It's different if your ad doesn't have the same sequence, but your ad already has a sequence. It does a beautiful job of then introducing the product after they've built up this emotional tension, and then the product shows up quite far down the page. So if the ad has already done a lot of the education, like what I said earlier, the page may not need to spend so much time reproving the problem again. It just can introduce the product a lot earlier, because once the buyer is already thinking, okay, this is my issue, the next question is, so what do I do about it? And now they want to do something about it, but you're taking way too long to get to the point. So the page is just delaying the answer a little bit too long. What I would test is I would test a shorter version of the landing page, not a completely different message, by the way. We're going to keep the message the same. We're just going to tighten the sequence a little bit. So we're just shortening the version of the page. So the test would be introduce the posture mechanism, explain the face pull idea, make the skincare filler comparison, introduce the product sooner, move the proof and comparison higher, and then shorten the science section. I'd also consider moving the comparison chart higher because the chart is already such a strong showcase in terms of clearly differentiating the value between them and what it's treating versus what it's not treating. But right now it comes really late down the line. And so the final 2 points that I want to share with you today is the CRO takeaway, which is this is a great example of why CRO isn't just about button colors and random tests and all these things. Sometimes the issue is not the message itself. Sometimes the message is strong, but it's just the sequencing that we need to play around with, right? So in this case, the page does a great job at moving the buyer into belief, but it could probably shift into the product conviction a lot earlier. And the final takeaway, the TLDR of this is that the ad does a great job at opening the loop. The landing page does a great job at carrying the message through. The mechanism is interesting. It actually goes well with what they're talking about a lot earlier. It does a great job at explaining the mechanism, even though it's a bit too scientific for me. I'll cut it down into a much simpler way to understand. The product feels connected to the problem, but the page could likely be tightened. Because once the buyer believes the mechanism, you don't need to keep educating. Like I said, you just need to move them into conviction, just need to present the product to them. You don't want to stay into that education mode a bit too long, then you're going to start to lose people, right? And that's the difference between a page that teaches and a page that converts. So I hope you guys enjoy my breakdown of the ad and the landing page and me sharing my notes on what I love, what I feel could be improved, and how I would change things up. Now, 2 things I want to share with you guys at the end here is number 1, if you want to learn more about marketing to women, you can click on the link in my description below where it leads you to the Female Marketing Bible, where I teach you all my frameworks and everything that I've applied to get my clients results, and all of which includes my frameworks that I use to audit 8 to 9 figure brands, one of which took a brand that I worked with to $20 million in 6 months. And then you could also book an audit. So what I do is I have 3 audit slots open each month. Used to be 5. I cut it down to 3 right now because I also have done for you clients that I'm working with. So what I do in an audit is I essentially take my frameworks, apply it to your ad creatives and your funnel. I take a look at your messaging, positioning, angling, and all those things. And then I present it to you on a 60-minute call where we go through it together. And then I give you a roadmap on how you can execute all the stuff that we've spoken about. So if any of those interest you, both of the information is linked down below. And I appreciate your time. I hope you found a lot of insightful nuggets that you can apply to your brand, or if you are someone who's working with a client that sells to women, you can apply this to them as well. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.